the 24th of April, 2026, Friday morning. We're reading in the Common Buddhist Text, Guidance and Insight from the Buddha, Chapter 4 on Society and Human Relationship. We already covered the Theravada tradition and the Mahayana tradition. Today we will go in the Vajrayana tradition on the perspective on society and human relationships, teachings from the Buddha. Vajrayana tradition. Advice on compassionate royal policy. Nagarjuna on royal policy. Since the principles of good governance and a peaceful story were set by Buddha himself, there was not much left to be added by the latter Buddha authors, while the Vajrayana in particular did not develop any social theory of its own. In Thai, it's called Tritsati theory. Its followers have considered the Mahayana principles of compassion, karuna, generosity, dana, and so forth to be the most important guidelines in social arena. They are inspired by the Indian literary sources such as the Precious Garland, Ratnavali, or Ratnamala. Of Nagarjuna, one of the greatest Buddhist masters, the founders of this philosophy, written in the form of a ipso addressed to the young ruler of the Satvahana Empire for the 2nd century Common Era. It is a series of instructions in 500 verses. The selected passages are derived from the 3rd, amassing the collections of the awakening, and the 4th, royal policies, chapters of that work, where Nagarjuna instructs his royal benefactors on how to rule his kingdoms as part of practicing for the awakening path to become Arahanta. Supporting the Dharma. Out of respect for the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the Taratanatai, create a vast abundance of the Buddha images, stupas, temples, and other large monasteristic buildings. Please have beautifully shaped Buddha images sculpted from all kinds of precious metal, nicely painted, seated on lotuses adorned with precious gems. Please protect all with all your might, the holy Dharma, the community of monks, and the decorated stupas with gold jewels and lattice work. Pay homage to the stupas with many gold and silver flowers, diamonds, corals, pearls, emeralds, cat-eye gems, lapis lazuli, and sapphires. Pay homage to those teachings of the holy Dharma, satisfy their needs with fees, services, and always rely on the Dharma. Cultural policy. Please provide the palm leaves for paper, black ink, and bamboo pens necessary for writing down the text containing the words of the Buddha. In order to spread knowledge, establish schoolhouses around the country and provide for field workers to take care of teachers' livelihood. According to health care, in order to alleviate the pains of sentient beings, the old and the young, and the sick, grant remuneration of land to doctors and surgeons in your country. Setting up public facilities. Please, in your fine wisdom, set up guest houses, pleasure parks, bridges, ponds, pavilions, and water tanks, equipped with bedding, food, fodder, and firewood. Please erect pavilions in every town and village, and buy Buddhist temples, and provide water tanks along roadways where water supply is scarce. Show social welfare measures. With compassion, always take care of the sick, the homeless, and the pain-stricken, the lowly, the poor. Render direct service to their sustenance. It is improper to partake of any readily available food or drink, whether cooked, grain, or fruit, before giving it to the people who ask for them. Supplying equipment for public facilities. Provide felt shoes, parasols, stainers, thorn-removing tweezers, needles and threads, and cool roof protection for water tanks. Place some of the 3 medicinal fruits, the 3 hot medicines, butter, honey, eye medicines, and anti-poisons by the water tanks. Write up medicinal instructions and mantras. Please provide ornament for body, feet, and head, as well as wooden blankets, stools, some porridge, copper bowls, and axes for chopping wood by the water tanks. Please arrange for small tanks filled with sesame, rice, grains, spices, molasses, oil, and water to be stored in a cool, shady place. Please have reliable men to always put some food and water, heaps of molasses and grain outside the opening of ant nests. Food offering to non-humans. Before and after taking meals, always offer proper food to the hungry ghosts, dogs, insects, birds, and others. Economic measures. Provide special care for the victims of persecution, crop failure, oppression, epidemics, and for the populace of conquered areas. Help out poverty-stricken farmers with seed and nourishment. Make sure that you have remitted their taxes and reduced their levy on the harvest. To protect them from the affliction of want, remit toils and reduce sale taxes. Also spare them from the misery of wanting or waiting at your door for alms. Pacify the thieves and robbers of your countries and other countries under your dominion. Please keep interest rates and set market prices fairly. Principle of governance. Whatever is reported by the ministers, you should find out about everything by yourself. Always do everything in a way that is beneficial to the world. Just as you care to think, what shall I do to benefit myself? In the same way, you should care about thinking what to do to benefit others. You should make yourself readily available to provide all that is desired, just as earth, water, fire, wind, plants, and forest trees are available to all. Founding new religious establishment. You should obtain your wealth through being generous to the needy in the past. If you are ungenerous due to your ungratefulness and attachment, you will never get anything in the future. Always delight in great compassion and sublime deeds, because the fruition of sublime deeds in doing to be even more sublime. Create religious establishment, fame, the glorious home for the 3 jewels, the lesser kings, if not even conceived in their minds. You will have to pass away powerless, leaving behind all your possessions. But whatever you will have done for the sake of the Dharma will help you move forward. If you use up your wealth, you will be happy in this life. If you give it away, you will be happy in another one. If you never use it up, nor give it away, but waste it, you will have only suffering, no happiness at all. You will not be able to make a donation just before you die because your unfaithful ministers, no longer treasuring you, but wishing to please the new monarch, will render you powerless. Therefore, use your wealth to create religious establishments while you are still at power, your life always being threatened by extinction like the oil lamp in the tempest. Maintaining existing establishment, you could also preserve all other existing religious establishments, temples, and so forth, founded by previous monarchs in their previous condition. Please have them attended by the harmless, the virtuous, and the moral discipline, the kind-hearted, the truthful, the tolerant, and the uncompetitive, and ever diligent. Further welfare measures. Let the blind, the sick, the lowly, the homeless, the destitute, and crippled also receive their share of food and drink without any obstacle. Provide all kinds of supports to follow the Dharma, who are not looked after, even if they live in other countries. Appointing chief officials. As the chief leaders of religious establishment, appoint people who are not negligent, not irritating, but wise, who live in accordance with the Dharma and do not harm anyone. As ministers, appoint people who are the social tradition and follow the Dharma, who are gentle, pure, faithful, and non-malicious, who are of good family, perfect demeanor, and are grateful to you. As army commander, appoint someone who is magnanimous, free of attachment, courageous, gentle, reliable, ever conscientious, and the follower of the Dharma. As chief leaders, appoint venerable elders who can remember the pure ways of the Dharma, who are knowledgeable and skilled in the sciences, are well balanced and of gentle character. Way of governance. Get monthly reports from them on every affair belonging to their office. Having heard them, you should decide personally on all matters relating to the religious establishments and go forth. If your governance is for the benefit of the Dharma rather than for the sake of the fame and greed, then it will be very fruitful. Otherwise, it will not. You should gather around you many advisors of good family who are old and experienced, who know the custom, abstain from evil, and who can perceive what must be done. Treatment of criminals. Never resort to executing, binding, or torturing criminals, even if they deserve it. Filled with compassion, always take them under your care. The monarch, you should always think of just compassionately benefiting even those embodied beings who have committed some intolerable crime. Exercise even more special compassion towards those who have committed the horrible crime of murder. Those who ruin themselves are worthy of great being's compassion. Release those in prisons for minor offenses within 1 to 5 days. Do the same to the rest of them whenever appropriate. Never leave anyone unreleased. Should you forget to release anyone, lack of self-restraint will follow, and the contentious evil will follow from the lack of self-restraint. As long as prisoners are not released, keep them happy and comfortable by putting barbers, bathing facility, food, clothing, drink, medicines at their disposal. Just as a parent wishing to cultivate his ill-mannered children exercise punishment out of compassion rather than out of anger or for wealth. Once you have found under investigation that someone has committed murder out of extreme hatred, expel them from that country without killing or harming them in any way. Advance on how to rule the kingdom. Independently keep a spying eye on our whole country. Ever conscientious and mindful, do everything in a way that accords with the Dhamma. You should offer appropriate gifts, respects, and service to those religious persons who are the foundation of good qualities, and also the rest of them according to their merits. Let the birds of the people rest on the tree of the monarch in his shade of patience, in bloom flowers of respect, and in big fruits of generosity. People are going to be pleased with a king that is generously disposed and majestic, just like the sugar candy, and the cardamom, and the pepper coater. You have not brought this kingdom with you from the former life, nor will you carry it with you to your next one. You have won it through the practicing of the Dhamma, and therefore you should not do anything against the Dhamma. This can be cited from the precious garland. Moving forward, reflections on the kindness of one's mother. Developing loving kindness and compassion by reflecting on the kindness of one's mother in this and past lives. This passage is a full translation of the 7th chapter of the famous Tibetan text, The Jewel Ornament of Liberation of the great Tibetan master Gampopa. It is a straightforward instruction on a concentration development of loving kindness and compassion, the two most important factors on the path to Buddhiship, Buddhahood, Arihanta, the goal he wants to attain for the sake of all sentient beings. The two qualities are applicable in all sociable aspects. They are to be cultivated in all walks of life, friendship, relationship, family, and society at large. And an important theme in this passage is that just as one owes great kindness to one's parents, to one's present mother, due to her great kindness and care for one, one should be kind and compassionate to all beings, as they have each been one's mother in countless past rebirths. Now, as an antidote for attachment to happiness of peace, I would teach contemplation on loving kindness and compassion. Attachment to happiness of peace means aspire to Nibbida, Nibbana, Nirvana, just for oneself, and due to the lack of love for sentient beings, not to do anything for the sake of others. That is the attitude of those on the lesser vehicle. As it is said, for one's own concerns, the concerns of others, and though they may be many, should be neglected, if one considers one's own concerns more important, one will achieve one's highest aim. But once loving kindness and compassion dawn in one's mind, one will love sentient beings and will not be able to reach liberation just alone. That is why one should better cultivate loving kindness and compassion. The master Manju Sarikiti said, "Those on the path should not neglect loving kindness and compassion, even for a moment. Furthermore, others' concerns are taken under care by loving kindness and compassion rather than by anger." Loving kindness, metta. Immeasurable loving kindness will be discussed under 6 aspects: its types, objects of reference, its definition, its methods for cultivation, its full benefits, and development. There are 3 kinds of metta, loving kindness. Loving kindness with reference to sentient beings. Loving kindness with reference to the Dhamma. And non-referential loving kindness. The Asakyamati Request Sutra says, loving kindness with reference to sentient beings is practiced by those who have been just developed awakening, or just developed aging would be same thing as a sotapanna, someone who's just entered the stream. Loving kindness with reference to the Dharma is practiced by those who are already engaged in the activities. Non-referential loving kindness without reference to anything is practiced by those who have acquired patient acceptance and respect to the unborn. Loving kindness regarding sentient beings, the first type of loving kindness is directed towards sentient beings. It is defined as mentality of wanting them to find happiness. The method of cultivating love and kindness basically depends on recalling the kindness of others. So first, you should reflect on the kindness of sentient beings. In this life, the person who shows us the greatest kindness is our mother. How many types of kindness did our mother show to us? 4 kinds. First, the kindness of nurturing our bodies, the kindness of undergoing hardships for us, the kindness for protecting our lives, and the kindness of showing us the world. As the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 lines says, why is it? Because the mother nurtures us, goes through hardships for us. She protects our lives and shows us the world. First, you should reflect on the kindness of her nurturing your body. This body of yours did not arise once fully grown, with muscles well developed and in a fine complexion. Rather, it developed in your mother's belly gradually from a quivering, gelatinous mass due to the elemental essence, which is the life sap of your mother's flesh and blood. It was neutral by the vital essence of her food, developed even while she was endured embarrassment, sickness, and all kinds of pain. Later, after she gave birth to it, she also took care of it and brought it up from a tiny thing to something as big as a nyak. The second is the kindness of the undergoing hardship for you. To begin with, you did not arrive here wearing clothes adorned by ornaments, owning goods, or bringing provisions. You came empty-handed with no material possessions other than a mouth and a stomach. You arrived in an unknown land with no acquaintances. Your mother did not let you starve, but gave you food to eat. She did not let you go thirsty, but gave you drink to drink. She did not let you get cold and give you clothes to wear. She did not leave you poor, but gave you possessions. She did not just give you the things you did not need. She gave up her own food, her own drink, and her own clothes. She would not do anything for the happiness of her present life, or even for the well-being of her future lives, but look after her child without actually caring for the happiness of either her present or future lives. She did not obtain those things easily, but gave them to her child by undergoing much toil, wrongdoing, and pain. In terms of wrongdoing, she committed various unwholesome actions like fishing or butchery to feed her child. In terms of pain, while she was doing some kind of business or farm work day and night, she was wearing frost for her shoes, the morning star for her hat, riding the shanks of her legs for her horse, flinging a wooden thread for her whip, exposing her calves to dogs and her cheeks to people in order to provide for her child. Furthermore, she loved this useless stranger much more than her own father, mother, and teachers who were very kind to her. She looked upon him with loving eyes and warmed him with her soothing cares. She rocked him top of her 10 fingers and called him in a sweet voice, saying things like, "My dearest, precious one, darling sweetheart, your mommy delights." Third is the kindness of protecting your life. In the beginning, you did not have any functional mouth or hands, or the greater strength that you have now that makes you capable of working. Rather, you were just like a tiny worm, frail, insufficient, lacking the ability to care for yourself. Your mother, however, did not reject, but served you, held you in her lap, protected you from the fire and water, held you away from precipices, dispelled all harm, prayed for your safety. In fear for your life, in fear for your health, she performed an inconceivable, unthinkable number of divinations, astrological calculations, collectible rites, recitation, and other rituals. That is how she protected her child's life. Fourth is the kindness of showing you the world, the divination. You did not come into this world knowing everything, greatly experienced with keen intellect from the first. You did not know how to do anything except to call out to the close ones by whining and crying and beckoning them with your hands and legs. When you cannot eat, your mother taught you how to eat. When you cannot dress, your mother taught you how to dress. When you cannot walk, your mother taught you how to walk. When you cannot talk, your mother taught you how to say yes and no and so forth. She raised you up by teaching the various skills needed so that your personal capacities now match those of others. Furthermore, she has not yet been your mother only in your present lifetime. But even that, you have been wandering in samsara since times without beginning. Samsara is the round of rebirth and existence. That is what is the beginning samsara vata sutta. The beginningless samsara vata quoted, if all earth and stones, plants and trees, and all forests in the world were reduced down to bits and tiny pits of juniper trees by one person and another person were to count them, they would one day come to an end. However, it is impossible to count how many times one sentient being has been your mother. Also, Nagarjuna, letter to a friend, says, we would run out of the earth trying to count our mothers with balls of clay the size of juniper berries. Each time she was your mother, she demonstrated the same kind of kindness as seen before. Therefore, since your mother has been limitless, cherish her from your heart and meditate in order to develop genuine care for the benefit and wish for her happiness. Furthermore, all sentient beings have been your mother, and every time they were just kind to you as this present one. How many sentient beings are there? Wherever space extends, it is filled up with sentient beings. That is what the Aspiration Prayer for Excellent Conduct Sutra says. Limitless is the infinity of space. Such are the numbers of sentient beings. Therefore, concentrate for as long as it takes to develop a genuine wish for the benefits and happiness of all sentient beings wherever space extends. When that has been developed, it is actual loving kindness. The adornment of Mahayana Sutra says, from the marrow of your bones, bodhisattvas treat all sentient beings as their own child. That is why they always want to benefit them. When through the power of loving kindness, tears well up in your eyes and the hairs on your bodies are made stand up, that is great loving kindness. When the kind of loving kindness is developed towards all sentient beings equally, it is limited loving kindness. Loving kindness is fully developed when one no longer desires one's own happiness, but only those of other sentient beings. Contemplation on loving kindness has countless good qualities. As the Moon Lamp Sutra says, limitless offerings of various kinds filling the myriads of Buddha fields, present to supreme beings, do not match the worth of loving kindness. Even practicing loving kindness for one moment brings limitless karmic benefit. The Precious Garland by Nagarjuna says, even 300 pots of food given 3 times a day cannot match the karmic benefit of one moment of loving kindness. Due to this practice, one will until time attaining awakening receive 8 kinds of benefit according to the Precious Garland. One will be loved by gods and humans. One will also be protected by them, will have peace of mind and loss of happiness, will not be harmed by the poison or weapons, will achieve one's aims without effort, and will be reborn in the heavenly realm world of Brahma, not even if liberated from samsara vata, one obtains these 8 qualities of loving kindness. Compassion. When loving kindness, karuna, compassion is karuna, when loving kindness is thus fully developed, it is difficult to develop karuna, compassion, immeasurable compassion, and to discuss under 6 aspects: its types, objects of reference, definitions, method of cultivation, full development, and benefits. There are 3 types of compassion: compassion with reference of sentient beings, compassion of reference to the Dharma, non-referential compassions. The first type is born when one sees the pain of sentient beings in the lower realms, and so forth. The second is born when one concentrates on the 4 truths of the noble ones and understand the 2 types of causality, causal conditions. One's mind turns away from the conceptions of permanence and solidity. Then one thinks how confused other sentient beings are. One aware of causality grasps the permanence and solidity and develops compassion. The third type is born as opining in equal pose. One realizes the emptiness of all and everything. One develops special compassion for all sentient beings who grasp at the concentrate existence of all things. As it is said, when the bodhisattva is equal pose, is perfected by the power of concentration, he develops special compassion for those who are seized by the demons of grasping at things. Of these 3 types of compassion, now we shall present concentration on the first one. Its objects are all sentient beings. It is defined as the mentality of wanting them to be free from pain and its causes. The method of cultivating this kind of compassion is that one meditates in connection with one's mother in this life. Imagine how strong you would feel for your mother if some people in this life beat her up and cut her into pieces, cooked or roasted her, or she was freezing so much that blisters developed all over her body and finally burst open. The sentient beings who have been born in the hells and suffer in just those ways have definitely been your mothers. So if they die such horrible deaths, how could you not feel compassion for them? Cultivate the compassion that wishes them to be free from their pain and its causes. Again, if your mother in this life was tormented by thirst and hunger, tormented by sickness and pain, intimidated by fear and anxiety, then you would feel for her very strong. The sentient beings who have been born as hungry ghosts, Betras, and suffer in just those ways have been definitely been your mothers. So if they are tormented by such pain, how can you not feel compassion for them? Cultivate the compassion that wishes them to be free from their pains and causes. Again, if your mother in this life was decrepit and disadvantaged, helplessly being used and exploited by others, stricken and beaten, slaughtered, cut into pieces, you would feel compassion for her. The sentient beings who have been born as animals and suffer in just those ways have definitely been your mothers. So if you are overpowered by such pains, how can you not feel compassion for them? Cultivate the compassion that wishes them to be free from pain and its causes. Again, if your mother who close to the precipice 1,000 miles deep, unaware of danger, with no one to warn her against walking into it, was just on the verge of falling into the precipice where she could experience immense pain and would never be able to come out of it, you would feel for her very strong. The gods, humans, demigods, and also the great precipice of the lower realms, unaware of the danger, unable to discard the unwholesome wrongdoings, out of the reach of spiritual friends, just about to fall and experience the pain of the 3 lower realms, which are very difficult to emerge from. So how could you not feel compassion for them? Cultivate the compassion that wishes them to be free from their pain and its causes. Compassion is fully developed if one has cut ties of self-cherishing and has learned the mentality, not just the words, of wanting all sentient beings to be free from pain and its causes. Contemplation on compassion has countless good qualities, as the narration of realization of Alokaswara says. If one quality, it would be all the Buddha qualities were in your palm. That one quality is none other than the great compassion. The Dharma, the Compendium Sutra says, Blessed Gautama, wherever the precious jewels of the turning wheel, the Sakkayavati, universal monarch, is present, his whole army is also present. Likewise, the Blessed One, wherever the great compassion is present, all Buddha qualities are also present. The secrets of the Tathagata Sutra says, owners of the secret, the omniscient wisdom of Buddha grows from the root of compassion. When by loving kindness one knows sentient beings to find happiness, and by compassion one wants them to be free from dukkha, then one is no longer interested in just pursuing one's own happiness, but rather pertains to Buddhahood for the sake of sentient beings. Loving kindness and compassion are thus antidotes for attachment to peace. Thus, when you have developed loving kindness and compassion in your mind stream to cherish others more than yourself, then it is said, in the Atisa lamp to the path of awakening, a supreme being is someone who wants to eliminate completely all dukkha of others through realizing its own suffering. This is the birth of the supreme being mentality. This can be cited from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, page 105 through 116, translated from Tibetan. Now, that covers chapter 4 on society and human relationship, the views from Theravada tradition, Mahayana tradition, and Vajrayana tradition. As we move to the next one on page 222, chapter 5, the human life, Theravada tradition, the cycle of rebirths, Samsara Vata, page 222. Common Buddhist texts, guidance, and insight from the Buddha. The chief editor is Dr. Mahapradama Kosachan.